Yo, what's up, guys? Insane Game Freak here. So, IGN's Anime Club. That's all I'm gonna say to that. And the fact that you've seen the title and you already know what this video is about. For those who are curious, I'll leave a link in the description to the original video. IGN's Anime Club made a video. I think it was a podcast, but a section of that podcast was why they don't like Monster Musume. It only looked like one or two of the girls that even tried it, and they kind of prefaced this by saying they don't mind fan service in anime, and even later on in the video they go, it's fine if you like it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you for liking it, although for some reason, which to me, saying that and then going into the whole but it's gross or creepy thing kind of contradicts that statement. Well, whatever. The point is they make a video about why they don't like Monster Musume, and I only think two of them watched it. And I don't have a problem with them not liking the show, but the reasoning behind it and the blindness of it was just kind of so asinine that I felt the need to respond and for those harem fans who understand and Monster Musume fans who get it. So let's just get into this, and I'll talk about each individual point. So first things first, the girl who actually watched it didn't even finish the first episode. That's already a strike right there, because that means you're basing your opinion off of the first 15 minutes or so of the first episode, which is not. If don't do, at least finish the episode. I mean, even I, I don't like a comic got killed, and I at least finished the first episode of it. That was the first problem. The second problem was her making. Let's talk about the main character thing she brings up first. The first thing she talks about is how the main character is so bland and not interesting, and then as a comparison, she uses Raku from Nisekoi. Now, those who have read Nisekoi and read Monster Musume or watch either one of those shows would know they're almost the same goddamn character. One of the things she brings up is like, see, he's more bland, but Raku's more interesting because he's chivalrous. He can cook, and they go through Raku's basic traits, and then I sit there and go, wait a minute. But Kimito, Monster Musume's main character, does all of that. It has been shown that he's the one who cooks in the house. He is chivalrous because he knocks out a dude in the first episode, which she never saw because she didn't finish it. And I'm sitting there like, so what is that? Is like one of the worst comparisons you can make, but it helps prove my point. They're not that different. The only difference is the worlds they're in. They literally almost act exactly the same, except I would argue Raku is worse because he's way more indecisive and like dicking around than fucking Kimito is, or Kurusu, whichever name you want to go by, or Honey or Darling, whichever name. And then the whole and then his complaint. And look, I don't have a problem with them not liking the show. I don't even have a problem with them being like, well, the fan service is just too much, or the fan service is kind of gross because they're monster girls. Like, I understand those complaints, but you cannot say. And then she's like, oh, I've watched fan service. I don't have a problem with fan service. Okay, but you're watching a fan servicey harem, and then you were surprised at if it's the first 15 minutes, the first episode, the worst scene in it is literally the whole tail jacking off scene, which probably is the scene she's referring to being gross and disgusting. And then she likes to act like, oh, well, this is a bland show, and it's like, this wasn't the show I wanted it to be. Like, she was like, it's like, oh, I heard Monster Girls, that sounds cool, but what I got was this bland, boring show. And I'm like, you're not even, first off, you didn't give it a chance, and two, you didn't even look at. People don't give Monster Musume enough credit for being relatively decent with developing the girls, and then obviously she goes into but it's that stereotypical the girl likes him because he's nice trope. And I was like, but that's kind of what harems do. Almost all harems do that shit. Is that fucking you like him because he's nice. Not because it's a very deep or interesting trope, but it's a fucking harem. They don't have deep. Most harems don't ever do that. So for someone who doesn't mind fan service, for someone who supposedly is relatively well informed in the anime scene, and for some reason you were shocked that oh he likes her because he's nice, and then the makeup comparison to Nisekoi that has the same damn problem. I'm like, Nisekoi suffers the same problem. Suigumi is literally an example of that. Why? Why does her crush on Raku start? Because he calls her cute, and because he treats her like a girl. Well, you can make the same statement with Monster Musume. All the girls are monster girls. Mia was naturally afraid of people not liking her because she's a snake woman. And it wasn't just the fact that he was nice, it's the fact that he treated her like a normal girl, which is pretty much the same reasoning Suigumi had for her crush. The difference is Suigumi's still conflicted versus Mia, who got super into him. And on top of that, people don't give the show credit for actually using the animal girls based, like for Mia, for example. She's warm-blooded, therefore cold water puts her in a very, I wouldn't say immobile, but I guess you would say close to hibernation state. Later on in the manga, which probably won't be shown in the first season of the anime, arachnids get drunk off of caffeine, which is shown in the manga. Centauria, the whole horse thing about how horses are like the closely related to being chivalrous. That makes sense. Poppy, Bird Brain, they're not all fucking 100% winners, but they all do correlate with the animals or creatures that they're based on. What was the other thing? Sue, how she can digest anything. Meryl, of course, she has a tragic fetish. And what's her favorite fucking book? The Little Mermaid. It's not. As I said, it's not clever. It's not like insanely clever or imaginative, but it's at least true, and it shows that the author at least put in effort to maintain a sense of correlation with the animal. So I didn't feel like it was a lazy put together show, even though it's probably about 50 to 70% fan service. There is legitimate heart and effort put into these characters and their interactions with the main character. And so for you to sit there and tell me that if you find the sexual fan servicey scenes gross, that's fine. But like the way you tried to make it sound like the show was such a disappointment to you, and I'm like, but you knew it was a fan. She goes, well, people in my office were watching it. All you gotta do is look at the goddamn picture of the damn series, and you would be able to tell what kind of series it is if you're a seasoned anime watcher. There's nothing about the look of this show that's completely different to the way it's set up. And let's not forget the thing about the Raku comparison that aggravated me the most. She goes, well, he's just a bland looking main character, and goes, see, if you compare it to something like Nisekoi, Raku, and they do the stupid throwing in Japanese words in the English language shit. I hate this. I fucking hate it because it's like stereotypical weeaboo nature. She goes, it's like if I had saw Raku in high school, I would have had some Doki Dokis for him, and I was like, well, that's already not helping your case. But pretty much then what that's really boiling down to is that, oh, you don't like Kurusu because he's not cute enough for you? Okay, that's really ridiculously biased. And not really a fair statement in my opinion. And it just kind of devolved into, it just got worse and worse. I mean, the only valid argument she really had was the fact that they're monster girls. It was a lot of fan service, and she didn't like the amount of fan service, and she thinks it was gross. And then she tried to justify it, was like, well, I was watching this with a guy and he thought it was gross. I'm like, well, that doesn't save your point at all. That just means two people thought it was gross, yet people in the office watching this show. So that kind of contradicts it's like, did you think, oh, well, that wasn't going to save that point? It was such a, and I think what pisses fans off the most about this, you didn't watch the first fucking episode all the way. Half of you, like some of your issues would have been resolved within just watching the full episode. It was dumb, and then it's like, I hate when they do this. Not liking a show for watching 15 minutes and then not even having real reasonings behind. Like, not liking a show isn't the offensive part. It's your reasoning behind it that becomes off offensive. And your reasoning was literally things that didn't make sense, especially with the shows you use in comparison. Nisekoi was like one of the worst examples because Nisekoi is basic as fuck. The main reason why I enjoy Nisekoi, which is a similar reason to why I enjoy Monster Musume, is because they are at least balanced with addressing all the girls. To me, that's one of the best appeals of harems, is that it doesn't just focus on one girl. We get focuses on several of them. And it wasn't like each of the girls aren't developed, but of course you don't fucking know that. And then to judge the whole show off of that just aggravated me. It was like, oh, it's a show that has no level of depth or character, and it's all about the fan service. Fan service is a major portion, yes, but to say the show has no depth at all and doesn't have any nuances to it, come on. The first episode shows that, just with the whole shower scene and how he was able to get Mia off of him just by turning on cold water. Oh my god. And then and the last thing I'll address before I end this. She goes, I cannot suspend my what is it? I forget how to phrase it. I cannot suspend my level of disbelief that high. And I'm like, you're watching a harem. You're watching anime, and you just said you can't. Your suspension of disbelief doesn't go that high. What kind of shows are you watching? What? I hate that. That's that one thing that you can tell casual anime fans say that don't make any fucking sense. Oh, it's too unrealistic for me. It's like the guy who watches a fucking ecchi and goes, her boobs are too big. Why are you watching it then? It's a fucking harem. Who says that? Her body size doesn't make any sense. It's like One Piece fans saying, "Oh, this looks too goofy. I can't." Like that's like anime fans who enjoy Naruto being like, "This is too goofy," and I'm sitting there like, "Have you seen your series? Have you? Your main character has whiskers." I don't know, but I'm just saying. To me, first off, I don't understand why you even tried it, but that's just my thoughts and opinions. Tell me what you guys think. As I said, I'll leave her video in this. I'll leave the IGN video in the description. And I guess it's true what they say. You can't spell ignorant without IGN. I'm stupid.